how you pronounce it. I use them all the time. It's a twin disc. This is the RXT. I guess you probably know it as the MP82 Killer. A lot of people run the RST on these, but because of this guy's power levels, we're having to run the RXT, and we'll see how the transmission holds up. But you can see what we brought over here. First of all, we'll get this push back on the lift. Don't have no traction. Hold up. We got the skinny sauce in the bottle. If you got that problem, just spray your shoes. You got all the traction. See if I can push it back now. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's still spinning. I have to push it back here. There you go. So let's take a look at what we got. We've got the clutch here. It's a twin disc. This is literally the clutch that I use on every single one of these MP82 cars. Get the bottom disc, and you got the secondary disc here. And we've got, I don't think we've even opened this one. Yeah, I might need that knife. The flywheel. This is the lightened steel flywheel. I like these a little more than I do the aluminum ones. So that's why I'm using these. And we've got probably some flywheel bolts. Wengerd Performance flywheel bolts. Or ARP. I don't remember exactly which ones are on this kit. And we've got a new throwout bearing here. The slave cylinder. This is the one made by McLeod. So we'll be replacing it while we're at it. It's always a good thing to change for sure with a higher mileage car. I think that one's got like a 50, 60,000 on it. So first thing we'll do is get up on the lift, and then we'll take a look at what we got. I've got the car up on the lift here. You can see it's got a set of long tubes right there. And most of the bolts you can get to pretty easily, except the ones way up on top, which I normally get on top, but this thing with the VMP blower looks like it'd be pretty hard to reach from the top side, so I think I'm gonna have to reach up from the bottom. We get the starter taken off, come back, get the exhaust. We might have to take the exhaust off. Yeah, I'm sure we will to get that drive shaft out. Pop the exhaust off, take the drive shaft out, and the trans will be ready to come out. Okay, got the exhaust taken off. That should be all we have to take off, because take this piece out and the drive shaft, because this here should be able to stay here and we'll just drop down between it. So next we'll get that drive shaft out. in. So we'll pop this thing off. There's nothing really wrong with the factory ones. Most of the time I just reuse OEM ones, but a lot of people like to buy the aftermarket ones. Down there, and it actually doesn't feel that bad. It actually feels pretty good yet. But we'll get this one put on. Get them bumped in against, and then I'll torque them to spec. You see the clutch here, it looks like it's got some pretty hard miles on it. It's been hot a couple times. I can see signs of a lot of heat in there. And this looks like it's been abused. So I'm going to start taking these bolts right here out. I'll take the clutch off and take a look at the disc. Take a look at this thing. There's that part. Yeah, there's not much left on this thing. It's definitely been slippy. You tell him that's not smooth. It's got pieces ate out of it. But the factory clutch on a Gen 3R Supercharged is not going to last long either way. Okay, we got the flywheel bolts all taken out, so we're going to get that pulled off and see what it looks like. They come right off.
Don't look much better than what we just pulled off.
Nah, that looks pretty rough. Sure, with the obviously one disc rides against there and the other on the flywheel.
There's some real big grooves and warping in it.
And he's only had this blower on it for maybe 1,500 to 2,000 miles. The rest was, I think, NA, so there's a reason we're having to put a new clutch in it. And that car right there, which is the one we're doing the twin turbo kit on, the clutch is completely gone. I think they were doing a burnout, and happens to be the clutch was doing the burnout instead of the tires. So that one there is not even drivable, but we have got another clutch, just like the RXT twin disc there. It's identical going into that one as well. So we're ready to get the clutch put in now. We've got our little valve pins hitting the flywheel right here. Everything put in, and just got the nuts off. Clutch, so we're starting to pull it apart. Get ready to put on. Here we got the second disc. The cords are all labeled, flywheel side, top, they're all labeled which way they go. And then here we got the bottom one, also labeled. And you always want to make sure, if you're doing this install yourself, you can come and see the markings right here. Whenever they're put together, this mark lines up with that, and really everything has got the mark across it. Whenever you put it back together, those marks have to be aligned with that floater plate. So, time to put the flywheel on. Okay. You see we've got the first bottom disc in there, so the label bottom, and the other side says flywheel, which means it goes towards the flywheel. Here's the second disc, so we've got to use the clutch alignment tool. Got the flywheel side, you got the top side. So let's get it like this, get it lined up, the pilot bushing, everything spins free, and now we're ready for the pressure plate. Fixing to put the pressure plate on, we've got, you see where that alignment mark is, right here. Make sure we get that all lined back up. There, got it started. And I just dropped my washer. Get the flat washer, and it's got a lock, and the nut. And you're going to want to leave the alignment tool in it till you get it all tightened up. So we ran into a small issue when we were installing the clutch, and you may have actually caught that on the video. You may have noticed that the clutch actually had the RST sticker on it. This was supposed to be the RST 1200. Come here and look at the box. We've got two of them here, one for another customer's car. You see it's got the RXT 2011 and up. You look at the one over here, same thing, I'll show you. RXT. And this is the one that we had put on there. And if you open it, and you look, I should have seen that, it says RST. And the only difference between them, the RST and the RXT, is the clutch disc. So it looks like McLeod has actually got one mixed up. They happen to get an RST in an RXT box. So if you look, this is an RXT clutch disc. See how it looks? And it does not have the heavy duty on there like the RXT. And if you look at the RXT's clutch disc, you'll notice it's a complete different material and it doesn't even look at all the same. But the RST, the RXT. So we're getting a hold of them to figure out what happened there. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and throw the additional RXT on that car that we had for the turbo car back here. And so we can get this one finished up, and we got another RXT just like it getting replaced for this car over here. Well, we got the right one this time. We got an RXT. So next thing, it's ready to move the transmission up here and get it pushed up in here. We've got the transmission all back installed, got all the bolts in, and still got to put the starter back in. You see it up there, and we got the drive shaft and exhaust put in, and then that'll wrap this car up. And what we plan on doing, it may not be in this video, the next one, we're gonna be putting this thing on the dyno, seeing what kind of horsepower it's making on the current tune and the current setup, and then bringing it back. Then we're gonna go do the fuel system, the new tune, and see what we can make. We've got the exhaust all put back on, got all the clamps on, got the drive shaft back up there. He does plan on upgrading to a one-piece drive shaft, but we do not have that yet. I'm assuming down the road we'll get that installed. But for now, we're gonna lower it down on the lift, bleed the clutch, and take it for a little drive. Clutch broke in, just barely drove down the road and back, making sure everything's bleeded right, but it's driving pretty hard right now, so we got to put some miles on it before the dyno tomorrow. It's kind of going to go easy, some stop and go, because we're actually on race fuel right now, and that's what it'll be dynoed on, because that's what the previous tuner had it tuned on. So we have got to leave race fuel in it, try and get the clutch broke in, throw it on the dyno tomorrow, see what it makes. Then after that, bring the car back, install the fuel system we have, pull it down, and then my tune is going on, and should make some good numbers with that Gen 3R. He's on a 79mm right now, and the only thing, drivability, it drives pretty decent. The cold starts is almost dies, but drivability isn't that bad. It's got kind of a dead spot in the pedal that I don't like, which I'll work out in my tuning. But I guess for most people, I guess it's pretty acceptable. It's a lot better than some of the cars I've driven. This beer's tuned by a pretty big name tuner. So when we go to tune it, we'll have to flash it back to stock and start over. Hopefully make 800 plus the tires. It'll be on the 85. So look forward to seeing those numbers. I'm not used to seeing that big cow hood sticking up there. Except for my cars, I keep stock hoods on mine. Here it's like, can't see down very good. It sounds good though, it's got a really good sound. Did you see what exhaust he had on there? I don't remember.
I did not.
I think he had kind of a custom exhaust, kind of pieced together. Maybe I think it had an X pipe in it. Was that an X pipe or did you have an H pipe?
It definitely had an X pipe in it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And we didn't even take that rear part of the exhaust off like you see in the video, so I forgot to even check to see what he's got. But he's got long tubes, so that's probably where the sound's coming from. That clutch is already feeling a lot better. It's already grabbing better. The thing I like about these Mustangs is I do a lot of clutch swaps on a lot of different vehicles. Like you look at the 370Zs, the 350Zs, they take forever to bleed the clutch. You have to sit there and have someone go down there and open up the little valve to get the air out. But these self-bleeding clutches, you just sit here and pump them and the air comes out by itself. So that saves us mechanics a ton of time. Autos are fun to go fast, but it's hard to beat the fun factor of driving the manual. It's just, I'm always scared of that third or fifth gear because that's what I broke on mine. Okay. Before we get on the dyno though, we're gonna have to swap these rear drag tires. You look, there's some threads in there, so I'm gonna take these tires here off. I'm going to put the stock wheels and tires, at least on the rear, off my 2018 Mustang, which mine are completely burned off now too. We did some drifting with it today with my car and they started coming apart. So we'll put my factory ones on the back there, and tonight we'll be getting the clutch broke in, and in the morning we'll take it to the dyno, see what it puts down. So stay tuned for that video. But for now, that's going to be the end of this video. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.